Hello and welcome to Mindset Tips numbers 17 to 20. Now, if you are new to my Mindset Tips series, there is the introduction. Link is also in the text description. It explains everything. This is not a sports psychology course, so each individual mindset tip is, as I just said, individual. You don't need to have watched all of the others to get any benefit from it, but of course I recommend that you do that. Now, these tips are for performance in the sense that they're not about squash specifically, which is what my channel's about. They can be used in pretty much all types of performance settings, whether that's sport or business even, or hobbies. But of course, I'm going to give any examples which will be related to squash, But they can also be used for tennis and things like that, I suppose. All right. Now, on the screen at the moment are the 4 tips that I'm going to be talking about with times that they appear. There is also in the text description quick jump links that you can click on to go to immediately to that particular tip if that's what you're interested in. So, without any more fluffing, let's get started. Tip number 17 is write down your goals and how you plan to reach them. Now, research shows that writing something down has more effect than just thinking about it. And when it comes to goals, it's no different in all aspects of your life. Now, let's just think about your job, whether you stack shelves or whether you run billion-dollar companies. Knowing exactly what you're trying to achieve and how you're going to do that is much better than just thinking, okay, what shall I do today? Now, clearly, if you're stacking shelves, you don't really need a detailed plan, but if you're running a billion-dollar business, then you need something more substantial. But even just stacking shelves, you need to say to yourself, today, I'm going to stack all of these, I'm going to do them in this particular order, and I'm going to do it this way. And that's the same with squash or tennis. Imagine your goal is to beat a particular player. Fine. Now, in the previous tips, I talked about how to set your goals. We talked about SMART goals, so look at the previous tips for that. But once you've decided on what the goal is, how are you going to achieve it? You want to beat this particular player. Well, for example, he's a little bit fitter than you, or she's a little bit fitter than you, so you need to improve your fitness. So what you say is, right, I'm going to do fitness sessions 2 or 3 times a week at this particular time. In addition, when I play this particular player, my backhand drops aren't working very well. So I need to work on my backhand. So twice a week, I'm going to spend some solo practice or some drills practice with somebody working on my backhand drops. And my goal to beat this particular player is in 6 weeks. And then you have a very clear idea. Now, you don't have to share those goals with anybody. You just write them down, what you plan to do, and then you get on with it. But that action of writing and planning is incredibly important. And in fact, I'd like to say for you to give me your goals. Write down your goals in a comment and we can maybe adjust them together. You don't have to if you don't want to, because people like to keep their goals secret, and that's fine as well. But if you want some help, put them in the comments. Tip number 18, gaining experience lessens nerves. Now, if you are the kind of player who becomes very, very nervous, don't worry. And I know that's easy to simply say don't worry, but what I mean is don't think it's unusual. Don't think it's wrong. What we need to be able to do is manage those nerves in a better way. Being nervous is actually useful. Imagine that you just were going to some tournament or some business meeting or something and you had no apprehension, no nerves about it. You just went there and you were just totally blasé. Okay, whatever happens. You're not likely to perform at your best. But of course, the other extreme is that you are so nervous you can't even do anything. Now, both of those extremes are not so good, and we want something in the middle. And by putting yourself in those type of situations more often, even with no other processes, you will become better at dealing with those situations. Imagine the time that you first did something. You first went to school, first went to that meeting. You were nervous. And you probably didn't do any process to lessen those nerves. But over time, you become desensitized to those situations. Your experience has allowed you to understand that you can control most of the things in the meeting, and those that you can't, you manage in a way that is best suited to that situation. So simply gaining more experience helps with your nerves. I will be talking about other ways to deal with nerves, but this is the basic one. Now, in the case of a performance sport like tennis, squash, badminton, table tennis, if you get really nervous in tournaments, play as many as you can. Play as many as you can, because that way you will begin to become, as I said, desensitized. You'll begin to become more accustomed to those situations. You'll get less nervous about going to a new club and new courts and new situations. It's not the only thing you should be doing, but you should be putting yourself there. We often talk about going beyond your zone. If you are not feeling a little apprehensive, then you won't perform your best. So that's tip number 18. Gaining experience lessens nerves. Tip number 19 is almost a contradiction of what number 17 was and the previous SMART goal setting tip was, and that is, there is no goal setting process or system that is foolproof. There is no goal setting process that will guarantee success. There are ones that are better than others for you, and that's important to know, that maybe the SMART goals works for some people, but you need a different system. That's fine as well. But what's really important is putting the effort into writing the goals, clarifying exactly how you're going to reach them. That is only a very small part of the process. The real process comes from doing the hard work. And I don't want to suggest that you shouldn't put any time into planning your goals using SMART goals or any other system that you use. What I'm suggesting is, don't suddenly become relaxed and say, hey, I wrote my plan. I know what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to do, 3 times a week. No, that's not enough. It's better to work hard with no plan than not work hard with a fantastic plan. And that's really important. You have to have that mindset of going into the plan setting and saying, this is the first part, the very small part. Now I know what I got to do. I got to do it. I've got to work hard. I've got to put the time in. I've got to put the effort in. I've got to do the work. It's that simple. Sorry. In fact, why am I apologising? Why am I saying sorry? If you really want to accomplish something, you've got to work hard. If you get success with no hard work, that's luck. Okay? It's that simple. I'm sorry. You walk to the lottery shop, you buy your numbers, you pick them, or you get the machine to pick them and you win. You're not successful. You're lucky. And lucky is great. Please don't misunderstand me. Lucky is great. But you don't often win tournaments through luck. You might get 1 or 2 points that you get lucky. And I've mentioned this before, but it's the hard work. I cannot stop stressing that. You have to work hard. And I'm not going to apologise anymore for saying to you, work hard. Because that's what you have to do. Tip number 20 is, the less you can think about on court, the better. Now, I can't remember where I read it. I think it's in Murder on the Squash Court from Jonah Barrington. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, a county player has 5 shots in his head just before he hits the ball. A professional has 1. And I reached county. I played for Middlesex a couple of times when they were really short, but that's a sort of level in England that is just below professional level. It's very high quality, and lots of the county players at my time were professional players as well. But what he's stressing here is that you might have the ability to play different shots, and of course the professional has the ability to play more than 5 shots from any one situation, but a county player is not really as committed as a professional. A professional has made his decision early, and they stick with that decision most of the time. If you see your opponent running up and you plan to play a drop, maybe you can, flick your forearm and get the ball to the back or past them. I'm not saying you should never change your mind. I'm just saying that the less you're thinking about, the better. The more automatic your game is, because you have done many drills, your shot selection has been honed to perfection for your type of play, for your type of situation, for your opponent, then you'll be able to play better. And I can honestly tell you that when I went on court once, I played a gentleman who was the same level as me. We were the same standard. We were playing in a graded tournament many, many years ago. I played the previous round and I didn't play too well. I played a bit of everything. And I said, for this next round, win or lose, I'm going to play everything straight. And I honestly think I played nearly everything straight. Long and short, maybe the occasional both, maybe the occasional crossboard, but not to the degree that I would normally play. And I played one of the best matches that I've ever played, simply because I didn't think too much. I had my game plan. It was a simple game plan. I stuck to it, and I focused on hitting the ball well instead of thinking of 100 different types of shots. And we often go on court and we're trying to think about hundreds of different things. No! Just like the horses, these are called blinkers. They put them on the horses so that they focus on what's in front of you. And that's really what you have to do as a squash player. No, I'm not saying you shouldn't look behind you. I'm talking metaphorically, or figuratively, that we need to be thinking about less, but we need to be thinking about that thing really carefully. So the less you can think about when you get on court, the better you are likely to play. Honestly. Well, that was episode 5 of the Mindset Tips. I hope you enjoyed them. On the screen at the moment is a subscription button. If and only if you think my content is useful, please consider subscribing. There is also a playlist of the other Mindset Tips and a video that YouTube thinks is a really good fit for you based on the things that you've been watching. And of course, remember, do something every single day to improve your squash. See ya.